great. Hey everyone. Hopefully we are back on where you can hear us. We've had some issues. It's related to the internet and nothing but the internet. I have some speed issue that my service dropped. We tried to fix around it, so I had to change some settings to adjust for the speed issues. We have AT&T. It's probably the worst internet service I've ever had in my life. I have no other options whatsoever. There's a Buckeye out this way, but they're terrible from what I understand, even worse than this. So at this point, I'm stuck. I have Spectrum availability, but it turns out AT&T bought them, and they're not allowing anybody to switch anywhere to do anything. So this is the reason we went to OBS in the first place, to try and avoid this, because I could never get on YouTube's optional direct link from my laptop cam. So anyway, I'm kind of much stuck using OBS. Usually it's pretty good, but it was kind of hard to get it. It looks like from my end that the feed is now playing correct enough to actually see. So hopefully everybody can see everything, and hopefully it looks normal without too much lag. Again, I do apologize for the late start. We did do a test run at 6:30, so I know everything worked 30 minutes ago. But again, I have terrible internet service. We've got the best they offer too, unfortunately. So I'm stuck to the only place I can get better service is if I move. So anyway, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. So again, welcome everybody. Sorry to be venting about that, but I hate our internet service here, and I'm a very ardent non-fan against AT&T. AT&T is the worst service I've ever had. So anyway, looks like everybody says it's working well. Again, I do apologize for being late. Not a typical thing, I'm hoping. But again, my service where we're at, we're not technically in any big city or anything. The airport's not too far away, so I'm out on the outskirts of a bigger town. So, there's cornfields, a block or two from where I'm at. So anyway, we aren't in the big city, so I don't have any of the big connections or anything. But anyway, I want to shout this out there first real quick. I'm going to have a live haul on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a Halloween haul. It's just going to be an hour long or so. I'm still going to have my normal Thursday live feed, but I will have the Halloween special. I'm going to be giving away original artwork on Tuesday. Starting at 7, the show will start. I'll do a little header announcement ahead of time, just so keep everybody informed. I'll post a note in my Facebook group and Patreon as well, just so everybody remembers. And I'll set it as an event, so you should get a reminder. For those of you, if you hit the bell icon before to be notified, you probably want to do it again. I had a half a dozen people yesterday tell me that they haven't gotten any notices whenever they've clicked the bell in the past. So apparently at some points, and I heard this from other channels, not just my issues or anything, but apparently that YouTube drops some of your bell notifications. So if you don't get a notification anymore, you might want to click it again, just because I've seen that too many times that's an issue. And as I said, I had 6 yesterday question me on that. So I've never had that many people question on the same issue, so there must be something else going on. So anyway, but we got a big, huge haul today, so I was going to show that in a separate video, but I'm going to do some more. I've got another bolo for tomorrow, and then, as I said, Tuesday live show, and it's going to be a haul. You'll be able to ask some questions. I'm going to show you just tonight a few pieces of jewelry that I did pick up. I'll hold them up here so you can see them. Just because I've been talking about jewelry a lot, and you can see some actual items. I just got these today, like 5 or 6 hours ago. So, it's been a busy day. I've been up since 5:30ish, and I've got some stuff, to show for my day. We did a pretty good pick, I would say. And again, as I said, Tuesday at 7, another live show. It's just a Halloween special. I'm going to be giving away an original piece of artwork, your choice. You've got 3 different pieces to choose, and they're pieces that I would personally sell and get $100 for. It's not junk. They're pieces that were actually used for the original artwork for my postcards. So you will see those, and they will be available. So anyway, again, I apologize for the late start here. We've had to do some changes in the latency and other issues in our bit rate and things to compensate for my lack of speed and service. But again, it looks like we're doing fine, at least from what I can see here. Welcome, everybody. Let's see who's on. Susie, welcome. Duncan VR, Kathy Steele, Steve Rose Resale, Chad T, John Clissold, Jersey Pickens, Black Crystal Dice, Disney Family 515. Let's see here. Nancy, Thomas, welcome. Carl Bach, Diego, The Truth. Let me see here. Tyronius Oz, Penny Day, welcome. Let's see here. Patricia Anna Laura, Kathy Steele, Charles May, welcome everybody. Again, as I said, there is going to be another show, a live feed on Tuesday at 7. This is the Halloween. I will be dressed up in full makeup. What the family is going for. So it's the family always dresses up. We do a big thing every year. We'll take multiple pictures. We love the Christmas tree still up and having the Halloween costumes on too. So we do it a couple times. We'll go out somewhere and get some family events going on. We used to do a lot. We've won some awards for the whole family. And for those of you who've seen some of the photos, we went for Tusken Raiders one year. I got the decked out full costumes, light up eyes and the whole works. But anyway, let's go on here. In fact, why don't I show you a few pieces here that I got, because we're talking about jewelry. Let's see here. I'll wait till it comes on the screen. I am on a delay, so it'll take just a second here. But this piece here is a Eisenberg. Let's see, make sure everybody can see it there. It's a little knotted up. But this is an Eisenberg piece. It's 1950s. I don't know how well you can see it. The beads are like a turquoise bead with gilt through it. Faux pearls. This thing weighs like 14 ounces to a pound at least. This is a real heavy piece. 1950s Eisenberg. I have never seen something quite like this by Eisenberg in my life. Most of the time they're jewelry pieces. I paid $3 for this piece right here. And this is, now if you've watched the videos, this is what you would call a runway piece. No question about it. 1950s, as I said, something you'd see in Mad Men or something like that. This piece here, $3 investment, no lie, that's exactly what I paid for it today. I'll probably get like $125 minimum for this piece here. Again, I got $3 into this. And now here's another one. Now this one, if you look it up on a comps, again, I always try to look up stuff when I'm talking about it. This is a Weiss. It's marked W-E-I-S-S. Now, if you look up Weiss, you're going to see this exact same one, and it was listed as unmarked because that one didn't have the marking on it. But this one does. That one sold for $35. This one I paid $2 for. Everything I bought today have names on them. I only got 6 pieces today, but they all have names on them. I got like $14 and everything. This piece here, I wish you could see it a little better, but it's a two-tone baguettes, and then some real nice blue, dark blue, deep blue stones, all rhinestone all the way around. Real nice piece here. But again, I'll probably get like $50 because it's marked. Again, a Weiss piece. Now these here, these are Musi, M-U-S-I. Now I always buy these when I see them if they're nice looking. I paid $4 for this pair here, a little more than I probably should have, but they're probably worth about 40 or so bucks on any good day. These are shoe buckles, decorations. They actually snap onto a lady's shoe. Again, these are probably going to be at least a $40 profit on them. I got the pair, very nice, solid rhinestone, well constructed, well marked. It's got a 1950-ish patent mark on the back, so pretty interesting piece. And again, those were $4. That's the most I spent on jewelry. And this is a nice, interesting pair of actual turquoise. And this one here is Pinata. I've never seen these before, or anything like this. I had to look up the company name, but these were $2. So for the investment in it, if you look up the name Pinata, you're going to see that this set right here is probably worth about $75. No lie. I mean, I was really surprised. I thought this went with the Eisenberg set, and I didn't pull out my Loope because I could see the writing. I just assumed it was in the same box, but it is not Eisenberg. This is something, again, as I said, if you look up comps, you're going to see that these little 1940s or 50s pieces are very, very, very desirable. I was actually pretty surprised, honestly. And then I got this here, and this is marked Cultra. This is Cultra, probably a take on Culture. It's actually carved bone Buddha, and it's 14 karat gold filled, probably 1930s or 40s. I paid $2 for this one too. My wife's probably going to keep it. She's got a lot of little Buddhas around here. around the house if I can not drop it. But this is a dual use one. Hopefully you can see that. It's got a clip on the back to actually hang from a pendant, or you can actually use the hook on the back. But again, this one here I'd probably get like 30 or 40 bucks out of, somewhere in that range, with the Buddha on there. Again, as I said, it is actual carved bone. I'm 100% sure of that. So it's a rather interesting piece here. I might do some close-ups for some of the patrons if anybody's interested. But again, that's just a quick haul. It's just some of the things that you get in jewelry. I've said it before. I get jewelry every single week I go out. And I'm talking about pretty much anywhere I go, I can pick up some jewelry pieces. So this is an honest, full days. You know, this is from one source. I had probably another 50 or so pieces I passed on. There were some nice pins. But they'd have been a long haul because they weren't marked. You know, they would have probably sold. I could have made 15 or so bucks on a couple of them. But again, I was picky. I've got a ton of stuff right now. So, and this is the season to sell. So I'd rather invest some time into listing some more than spending an hour digging through every single piece that he had. So anyway, that's just some of what I got here. Just FYI, you should be able to find it. And I know some people still have Savers in their area. Again, we don't have them here, but Savers was always good to find stuff like that in the case. As long as the people at that specific Savers you go to don't look up the names and stuff on eBay. Because I know some of the Savers nowadays look this stuff up on eBay. At least the ones that around here used to before they closed down. But anyway, let me see here. Duncan VR, you did receive the postcard. I am glad to hear. Hopefully you're happy with it. Let me see here. I don't think I missed anybody. Yeah, Kathy, rural internet. I wouldn't say technically rural. I've got a county address. We live in the county, but we have a city address, so things are a little different here. We don't pay city taxes or anything, so there's not much upkeep on most anything around here. Last time they worked on the phone service, or were supposed to be upgrading it, they ended up shutting a whole bunch of people's internet off, you know, all their phone service for like a day and a half out of nowhere. I've got a backup source. I mean, I could just turn in my phone and broadcast Wi-Fi and pick that up on a laptop or something, but it's not the point. You know, it's just terrible. I hate AT&T. We've hated them for years. It's been unfortunate that it's one that we have to use, and, you know, I don't have a way around it, unfortunately. But anyway, let me see here. Let me slide down here. YouTube isn't always the greatest out by us anyway. Let me see here. Rural dropped mine. Nice eBay coupon, 10% off. Yeah, I saw some posts on some of that as well too. I did get the eBay coupon. I usually run. I don't run sales, as I said in the past, all the time. I barely run sales, but when I saw that, I did put some items on sale as well. And I've sold a lot today. I mean, just before we came on, I was actually on eBay since I was waiting for the internet issues to find out. And we had sold several pieces just in the last few minutes. And I just did the sale like 2 hours ago. So, you know, that's another thing you can do. If you've got some items that you think you've had up for too long, tonight would be a good night with the sale, the coupon that eBay has, because that doesn't come out of your pocket. So if you're going to mark it down anyway, always do it when eBay has one of these free promos or something that the buyer is going to get a personal coupon or something. It doesn't come out of you. So, you know, I don't know what the aspect of is, but, you know, it's not going to affect you. So I put stuff on sale, and it did work. We've sold some items, you know. Plus, we do our usual routine. If I've got a bunch of watchers on items and I haven't had sales on them, they've been up for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. This is the one time a year that I do play around with that, and I'll address it just to push sales because, you know, everybody's buying now. You'd rather push out the sales now than wait. And with that, too, you've got other people trying to get more items up because everybody puts whatever they can up for fourth quarter. So, you know, set yourself aside sometimes in fourth quarter if you want to boost your sales a little bit. And we usually do that. It usually really boosts them up. The last time I did a markdown for 1 week, it increased our sales over $1,200 for that week versus the base, you know, sales rate. So again, it's semi. I guess that's a little bit misleading because a couple of those items may have sold anyway, but I do believe it's a pretty big boost if you do it, you know, once in a while on items that have been up for a while, as I said. But, you know, that's just what I do. Mark Suda, Oregon, Ohio, Oregon, the state. Just FYI. Charles May, you are welcome. You set your alarm on your phone. Oh, that's good. My phone's always turned. I hate the noise of the phone. I usually turn it off because the ka-ching will come on when I'm someplace, and I don't want somebody hearing the eBay sound or any of the Amazon notices or anything like that. Just personal. I don't want to announce anything. I don't make up some story or anything. I pretty much is straightforward with everybody. But I don't like to have that going off to have to sit there and explain why eBay's on my phone or something. And I'm out shopping somewhere. But anyway. Yeah, just an FYI, that 10% coupon, good time to do a sale. So if you missed that just a minute ago, do a sale now with the 10% off that eBay is offering for buyers. Because it'll help you out. It'll double their discount. It will only hurt you the markdown you were going to put on anyway. So even if you just do a 10%. So just FYI. Mr. Mark, thank you. Old Man Reseller, welcome. Yeah, I said jewelry, and that's why I wanted to show you some today. I mean, I could show you jewelry probably, 2-3 times a week, on a decent average week from somewhere. I'm not going out as much sourcing because I stock up through the summer, and I've talked about that before. I don't call any of that, a dead pile. I stock up and buy everything I can through the summer when I've got pickers that do most of the work for me. That way I don't have to go out and waste my time, and I can spend more time getting stuff ready to list and listing and stuff while I'm in the slower time of the year, basically slower time of the year. So then once fourth quarter hits, I've got this stuff up. I've got extra merchandise that I can constantly list as items are sold. If you're selling a lot, like let's say you might be selling a couple hundred items a week, 300-400 items is something in our range, in high peak season. You want to have enough to replace those items through there, and you don't want to be out shopping and sourcing sometimes when you've got a ton of sales going on, because there'll be some days that I might get 30, 40, 50 different emails on stuff in fourth quarter, and that's each and every day, and that's just on eBay on one account. So you've got to maximize your time. I source when I don't have to worry about it as much. Like as I said, summertime, pickers do the work. I just go to one place, and I get to see items that people have picked up from all over their area. And sometimes I can go to 2 pickers in the same day, and that's like me going to sometimes like 60 or 70 sales. That's the benefit of having a picker, that you can just go to one location, and it's like a mini flea market of just the best stuff that somebody cherry picked from a bunch of places. So that's what I personally look for. So everybody has their own way of doing things, and for us this has worked out the bomb. I don't pick as much during winter, except when this was from a picker. I got a real good call. And as I said, I got a bunch of other stuff. You're going to see some pretty interesting items on Tuesday night. Some stuff you probably haven't seen from me before, and then some other stuff you have, but it's a good assortment, I promise you. There's some really neat items in here. Again, I'm holding all that off. I'm not doing anything with it. It's just going to sit here in boxes until Tuesday's live show. And again, I'm still going to run the regular Thursday live questions. Tuesdays is going to mostly be for the contest and actually showing my haul as well too. And it's going to take a little bit because there's a lot of items to show. So I'll go over them. I'll go over my prices I paid for them. I'll throw out finder fee information as well for some of the items that I got. And I'll go into prices, and you can look them up. Most of what I'm quoting here are stuff that you can just go and get a comp on. All the items I just showed you on the jewelry tonight, the live jewelry here, are all items you can look up those names right this very minute, and you will find comps to those. Not so much the Eisenberg, the first big gaudy necklace, but you can get a gist by looking at the other ones on that kind of item. So, and again, most of that stuff you can find in big bag lots at auctions even. I've bought, in occasions 100 or 150 brooches, pins, and 1940s and 50s items all at once. We spent, some money on it. $300-400 you might end up sinking into something if it's big like that. But if you spend that much money and you know what you're doing, you might get $300-400 out of one piece of jewelry. So anyway, I don't care if it's ladies jewelry, men's jewelry. I'm going to cover men's jewelry as well too, maybe this coming up week, as I had some questions on that because I didn't show any men's jewelry, and I'm trying to show you by genre. I look for certain things at certain places. If you go to like a man cave sale or, a guy sale, and usually they even list it that way in the paper, you'll find a better chance of finding the men's style. Tie clips, money clips, some actual like service pins from employment and occupation pins, and then of course cufflinks. Now there's several kinds of cufflinks. I buy the early ones, the chain linked ones, the gold ones, the platinum ones. But there are specifics to look for, so I'm going to throw that out on a video as well. So you'll have many other options. Again, I'm going to do more bolos from this point going on than I have been in the past. I've talked to a lot of people, and I've talked about, things. I pay attention to what my feedback is for all the videos. I pay attention to the watch counts. I pay attention to the analyticals for my videos to see where the most people watch it for the longest time. What's the biggest benefit to you? And, those seem to be it. The better or the more bolos you have, the better you will do, no matter what. I can't stress that enough. The more bolos you know, the more items you know to look for, the better you're always going to do. Because you can walk into a store and maybe 10 real good items and have 10 good areas, clothing and books. But there's all kinds of knickknacks. There's all kinds of collectibles. There's jewelry in the display cases. There's, odds and ends. There's collectibles and paper items and all these other areas that you can get. And if you don't know all the areas, you're going to be walking out looking just for the few things you're looking for. And I've talked about this before. I've given up clothing. I'm not messing with clothing pretty much at all. I can't get it. It's hard to source. No savers. Goodwill's terrible. There's only one store that was good, and it's way on the other side of town, and it's flooded, and it's a fight. And if I walk in there and I only find 3 or 4 items, it's a waste of time. I mean, I barely can pay for gas sometimes if you're walking out with a couple items. So I don't know what it is for everybody else. I know, let's say New York City or Los Angeles, you probably have a pretty good source of material. So it just depends on the size of your city. Around here, there's just not enough people dumping stuff off, and then plus there's so much competition. So, anyway, let's see here. Kara Irway, welcome. Thomas Lerzer, welcome. Richard Sanders, welcome. Chad T, like the jacket. Tyler Durden jacket, if you know who that is, hopefully you do. This is a vintage one. I've got one just like it from the movie as well. If you don't know Fight Club, everybody should know the #1 rule of Fight Club. It's a good movie. I don't want to spoil it, but that's one of my top, say 50 movies. I hunted down one of these jackets forever, so but I do have the official one too. You can look it up if you like leather. I've got like 20 leather jackets I wear occasionally. So, but look it up. You can actually get that same jacket that he wears, Brad Pitt wears, actually on eBay occasionally. They go for $200 or $300, but it's a cool jacket, I have to tell you. Maybe I'll wear it in another video. It fits different. It's more like a walking jacket than something to sit around in. So, anyway, we're below ground at this point. So, and I'm not, I don't heat it up real well, so it does get cooler down here where we're at right now. So, anyway, you might see me wear a jacket a lot, and people ask that question. I keep it cool where we're at. There's a lot of electronics equipment running. There's a lot of stuff that heats it up down here too. But it's pretty cool down here either way. So we keep it cool. We keep it cool down. The best area we can keep anything cool is best for your computers. I've got pads underneath all the laptops, or most of them. So anyway, Mark Suda, well, I appreciate that. William Madenki, I'm probably pronounced that bad, but welcome. Good evening. Let me see here. Diego, wow, not sure what that's about, but hopefully that's a good wow. Treasure Experts, welcome. Robert Koppel, welcome. Found some Trifari yesterday. Just keep track and pay attention to what I said, though, on the Trifari, because some of it's not going to sell very well. It might be long haul. Pick the better, brighter, bigger, gaudy pieces. Those are really what you want the most of. The gaudy pieces. At least that's my personal experience on them. And you can see if you look up comps on the jewelry that it's higher end. If you go in looking up costume jewelry, Trifari usually is some of the highest stuff on there. But again, they made tens of thousands of pieces, so just keep that in mind. I didn't find any Trifari today in the items that I found, but you do see there I've got some value in there. Don't just look for Trifari. You're going to have to branch out. Just do some random searches in jewelry, or when you're out picking, anytime you see a name on anything, look that name up. Eventually, you're going to recognize all the key names like Eisenberg and Weiss and Trifari, Hollycraft, Corocraft, Coro, Haskell, any of that stuff. You're going to recognize the name. You might even eventually, I can recognize style for the most part on some of the pieces, like the Weiss rhinestones. Usually it's a certain color of blue. It's a certain color of red. It's a pinkish color. It's pastels the earlier it is, like from the 40s. In one of the videos I showed some neon pieces. Like those are just the bomb stone-wise. And there's nothing like them. So once you've seen those a couple of times, you will always know what they are. Immediately you know it's some neon glass. So, you know, just FYI. It just takes time. So, you know, it's taken us a lot of time to do it. You're not going to sell, you know, a piece of jewelry every single day of the week, you know, but depending on how much, if you're getting it cheap enough, like I said, your profit margins are going to more than pay for your quantity. Let's say I've got 200 pieces of costume jewelry up, and it costs me, let's say, like $3-4 or whatever to list that once I hit my freebie 10,000 listings. You know, so you've got to just sell $4 or $5 worth or whatever it turns out to be a month to continue making a profit off it. And we sell a couple items a week. So, you know, even at that, you can make, you know, a couple $100 profit every single week from just a few pieces of jewelry. But again, you got to pick the best quality jewelry you can get. You got to pay you know, little to nothing for it if you can. If you have to shell out, make sure you've looked that piece up specifically so you're not buying something that's going to sit on your shelf and not sell very well. So, you know, just FYI. Let's see here. How can you tell the difference between shoe clips and fur clips? A shoe clip, this is an easy one here. I don't have a cape clip here, but a cape clip has two pins pointed down and a hook down on the base of the item. The pins, the two double pins will go up like this and then lock down, and then there's going to be a hook coming off like this up. That's a cape pin. I hope that makes sense. But a shoe pin is going to be something that literally clamps down on the top of the shoe. This will slide in. You'll pull this piece up. Hang on just a second here. You'll pull this piece up. You'll slide this under the top of your shoe, and then it'll just literally snap down. And there's little, like the grips on a... I see my lighting's just a hair off here. Let's see if we can't fix the lighting just a little bit. But it'll clip on there like... it kind of reminds me of like a bandage or something, how they have the clip on there. If you know what I mean, like the little clip that connects and you can latch your bandage up together. I think it's the other one here. Still a little off on my lighting, but we're going to leave it at that. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense to you. On maybe one of the other videos, I will show you the difference. A cape clip has needle like pins on the back, two matching pins usually. The shoe, yeah, I think I've made it worse. The shoe one has like a flat wide one, so there's a difference. I will try and show that in another video, even just a quick clip on it to touch base on that. Maybe I'll throw it in the men's one so you can just tell. I know they're not men's related items, but that is a good question there, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Let's see here. How can you tell the difference? Okay, any stores in the Tampa, Florida area you could recommend? You've inspired me to explore. We haven't been in Tampa. I'm in the Ohio area. We lived in Florida for 10 years, so I've been all over Tampa. There used to be a nice place in Safety Harbor, an alternate 19, if you know the area. Even Tarpon Springs, there used to be some little quaint, like thrift stores downtown and some, you know, not major buildings, but old buildings downtown in those two cities, Safety Harbor and Tarpon Springs. So I don't know if you get out that way. I was never very lucky in Tampa itself. We traveled and conversed. We stayed in the Sandpiper, an alternate 19, if you know where that's at, outside of Safety Harbor a lot. We used to go to Honeymoon Island and Coquino Beach, I think it was called, and Longboat Key as well, if you know that area. So those of you who know Florida, those might ring a bell to you. But those areas we used to find a lot of stuff in. On the sponge docks in Tarpon Springs, there used to be like 3 giant... antique stores, and those antique stores had some really reasonable prices in some areas. All their nautical stuff, though, was extremely expensive. The store used to have like 20 brass diving helmets. I think it was across the street from Louis Pappas's, if you know what that is. For those of you who've been down there, it's a world-famous Greek restaurant. It's been there forever. We didn't enjoy it from being an adult versus being a child. I think we're blocking off the light just a little bit here, the camera. But anyway, let me move on and see if we got some more questions here. Thank you, Thomas Tulaski. Would be interested in seeing some of the stamps and poster history you have sold. I can cover some of that. Stamps are pretty easy. I haven't put a bunch of stamps up lately at all. I think the majority of what of the stamps I have up right now are World's Fair related and poster stamps. I collected stamps years ago, and I've got a personal collection. So honestly, I haven't sold many stamps lately. I sell postal covers when I get them. Right now, I've got like, I don't know, 120 or 130 sitting here. I'm probably going to go to a show in a little while, and I might do some swapping and trading. So I haven't sold any recent postage stamps lately, other than the covers and the postcards, obviously. But as I said, I do keep some things. I've got a horrendously good Australian collection that I got, all stamps, some of the very first couple ones, the provincial ones and things, so I do save a lot of that. I save early US stamps, German stamps, China stamps, because there's a lot of value in those. I've probably got, maybe I'll show you a picture of a couple shelves one of these days. We've actually got some in a bank security box, too, that we had to get a bigger one just to store. So all my good stuff's in a bank box. But I may show you some of the bulk that we have. I do buy bulk. One of these days I'll go through some more postal stuff. Just because I like to list the stamps myself more so, because I like to list, perf issues and, watermark, what watermark, if it's got any grills, and that's something that's kind of hard to tell, so I usually do those as I'm doing them, if I list them. Mostly I only sell earlier ones. The only stamps I've been selling lately would be, like 70% of face, like 1930s through, say, modern day stamps, commemoratives and things. Most of those don't go for, barely face value if you're lucky. So, I blow those out. I keep all 19th century stamps. I keep every one of those right now. I guess it's an investment for us. I've got the books. In one area that I haven't sold much in, honestly. Again, by choice, but anyway. I can show you some of my hauls if people are interested in that as well, too. But I do still buy stamps constantly, so. I didn't get, actually, I did get one today. I got a Rocket Mail postage stamp from Cuba, from Havana. It was from 1939. You can look them up. There was Rocket Mail globally in 1939. I don't know what the deal was, but there was a nice Cuban stamp, which I can't sell because of the embargo, but it's a real neat stamp. I'm imagining it's worth some money. I might show that in the haul video on Tuesday. Maybe I'll do a few inner shots of actual recording in the live show so you can see that I can talk live. So if there's any questions while I'm showing them, we can do that. Because as I've been saying, I've been playing around with a way to effectively show me looking through items at a close-up as well as talking at the same time, all live. And it takes, a couple, interlinking webcams to be able to correctly do it. I've tried the route running with the DSL and a webcam, and it's just not practical. So, anyway. Did I miss a question? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Carl. Nancy, thanks for the help there. Lex Hem, welcome. Let's see here. Yes, I am on a green screen, and just a quick go on that. We have a very small, tight area where I had been filming, and there's barely enough room to get through. And with, lighting, yeah, I know my lighting's off here, unfortunately. It looks like it's off just a little bit there. Let's see if that maybe helps it. But so where we were at was so tight that I am actually sitting in front of a green screen. We have an area that we have a 10-foot movie screen that we project from a, projector with a laptop. So I'm just sitting in front of that, actually. I know it's not the perfect example of a green screen, but for us, I'm not worried so much about the quality of the image as much as I am as the information. So anyway, again, it's because of space. There's just no room. I've got Ian here as well. He's here pretty much every weekday he works for us, and he always does my live feeds with me. And so it's not any room. There's just no room in this area to do it. So we moved it over to a different area. This way I have more room. It would be impossible to get a second camera in here, too, to show you anything, so I can do dual cameras with more imagery and stuff. So, we are working our way into doing some broadcast feeds. I'm just waiting for some more funding and some more seasonal stuff to get up and listed before I start doing extra stuff. Let me see here. Give me just a second here. My YouTube chat pops up and down. Karlbach, can I explain pickers? It's pretty much like American Pickers, I guess you could say. I haven't watched the show in years, but they basically, in some of the episodes, pick for some people sometimes. Or, I used to pick myself. And after a while, I ran into people who did flea markets, local flea markets, and did some of the auction. I'd see the same people over and over again. They'd buy stuff and then take it to the flea market. It turned out eventually for most of them that after a while, instead of them worrying about flea markets and setup and stuff, they just started setting up appointments at their location to look at the stuff. So that's where it originally started from. And again, I'd seen some of these people for months on end, one or two of them for a couple years before we ever got to a picking point. Just because I ended up buying the stuff from them anyway, they were paying, fees and getting up early and stuff, and it just wasn't practical for some of the folks. They don't like selling online. They're older folks for the most part, much older than I am. Nothing wrong with age or nothing, but they're not interested in learning eBay. They don't care about it. They've done flea markets, and in some cases for, 40 years or better. So, it's just not, everybody doesn't have that interest. Go to some of the old-timer flea markets and talk to some of the old-timers. Don't be aggressive. Don't, be insulting or anything like that. Just be polite and just start to get to know some of those guys. They're usually more friendly than the younger ones. Nothing against any age group or anything else like that, but they like talking. I'm a talker too, so I can't complain at all. But I talk and we converse, and eventually it leads to one thing or another, or they'll set stuff aside for you at a flea market and show you first. And then it's eventually going to lead, if you're lucky enough, to, hey, why don't you just come by the house, or I'll meet you somewhere, the first couple times, and then have you back to the house. So a couple of them I even got off Craigslist. I kept going to their ads. They kept posting ads, and eventually they just called me and didn't put the ads up on Craigslist anymore. Or they had, a group of people they would call. A couple of my pickers might have 10 or 15 people that they call. It just depends on how good you are with that picker to know where you're going to fall on their call chart. You want to be the first person they call every time. That's just the goal. You have to be the first person to get certain items. Sometimes they might call somebody else first, but they'll set aside and not show the other people items that I exclusively buy from a certain picker. So, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there. But it starts off slow. You're not going to just find a picker tomorrow. It might take you years. You might not be in an area where there's enough people, old timers around, or enough people that are interested. You just might run into people that only do eBay. So you're going to have to find extra sources, the church sales and things too. Get a heads up on these. Sign up for all the charts for any estate sale that's running. Get on their mailing list. Get on their email list. Ask when the annual church sales are. Make yourself a calendar of when they happen this year, what they're next year. Some of them will tell you that there's other sales and other events that they do. There'll be a jewelry sale on there, a toy sale, or things like that. You're going to run into people that do a sale every week at like a certain day, like October 10th. Every single year they do a sale that weekend, or at least maybe not that specific day, but the week of that day. So, I keep a list. That helps too. So when you're, not getting calls from a picker, or you don't have pickers, you've got other ways to find stuff, Check on estatesales.com. They list auctions and local events too. So, you got to figure out which ones are the best ones to go to too. So some days there'll be 3 or 4 events, and I may only want to get to one of them, or I may only can get to one of them before the other ones are already sold out of the good stuff, because people wait outside for estate sales, for those of you who started going. So you just got to know, either you got to be there early to get the higher end, the top-notch stuff, or you've got to have a good knowledge on the cheaper stuff that isn't as good as the other stuff, but that still makes a good profit. That's why we succeeded, because a lot of the stuff that we sell is junk that most people pass up. I don't know how many times a day I hear, I would have never bought that. I would have walked right past that. I've been selling that for years for $1 or $2 and never knew it was worth money. I hear that every single day, all the time. It's a given. I hear it all the time. There's probably one under the last video alone, somebody's saying that. So that's the kind of stuff that I've made, our bread and butter on everything across the board. It works for us. It's the best way I can do it. I can't get clothing anyway, even if I wanted to, which I don't. But, anyway. Let's go see here and what we got going. The Big Lebowski sweater. I have had a couple of those. It's a specific company name that made those. It's a name brand, too. I wish I could think of it. I've got it on the top of my head. I might remember it before the end of the show. But you can find those. You'll see them on eBay. And I've gotten a couple of them. I had one with a hole on it that would have needed to be repaired by somebody. I don't even know how you'd repair it. But I still sold that damaged one with a hole for like $57. So, you know, it was still wearable. It still looked nice. My wife wanted to keep it. We've seen The Big Lebowski. Our kids watched it. They loved it too. It's a I guess an acquired taste, just kind of like Office Space is and some of the other oddball movies that we watch. You know, just FYI. I love that vintage stuff. I wouldn't wear the sweater, though. I'm not a big sweater fan. It's an itchy sweater if you've worn it before. I put it on and all. I think I got a picture of me with it on just because we like that sort of thing. But anyway. Nathan Edgings, welcome. Patricia Lynn, welcome. I'm sorry I didn't call your name out first. Craig Murray, welcome. Rick383, Aralina, welcome. I guess that's two of you on the same name. Welcome, welcome. Diego, do promo records have more value than regular ones, or is it completely irrelevant? No, it is not completely irrelevant. Diego, the biggest thing on promo records is that some of the time, the most popular ones are like Psych or Garage Rock, Fuzz, or Northern Soul. Look up those terms and you will see the highest 45s. In some cases, those genre that you will find, they only did a promo, and you will not find a actual store stock copy of those songs at all. There's a David Bowie one that was released. It was called The Laughing Gnome. It's an oddball song. Type it in if you're interested at all. If you've never heard it. And there's like a Pink Floyd. Early Pink Floyd doesn't sound like Pink Floyd. I want to say it was like Mushroom or something, the name of the song. But there's like it sounds like David Bowie, even the Pink Floyd record. But these are early 66, 67s. They only had them out on promo, some of these, and it's the only way to have it. They've released it since on one of his double LP sets that came out in like 72 or 73. But stuff like that goes for a ton of money. A lot of the soul records, Northern Soul records, they only released a promo. It's such a scarce one. It wasn't a hit over here. The promos didn't play well on the radio. They didn't release store stock, or it was a test run. Sometimes you'll see audition listed on a record. Those can be good. They're basically all in the same category. Now, it depends on the promo as well, too, because sometimes a promo has the same song on both sides because it was made only for radio stations. One will be mono, one will be stereo. So those are not usually worth as much as a promo that has both songs that should have been on the A side, you know, the A side song and the B side song. Those are usually not as worth as much if it's the same song on both sides. So take that in consideration, too. In some cases, some of the promos are on like styrene instead of vinyl. That can play a huge role in the value. Like there's a Cy Hightower, I've probably talked about it before, that's on styrene. And that one goes for a ton of money versus any other one. And it's only a promo. So, you know, you've just got to pay attention to some of those. I look up promos beyond anything else. Promos would be the number one thing I look for. In general, most promos will sell for more than the original. Let's say it's a Sun Elvis 45, and you got a promo. You can probably double, sometimes triple the cost of a stock copy. And stock copy, I mean just the regular copy you'd go into the store, buy out of their company stock. So if that makes sense. Hopefully that answers it, Diego. Stephen Rose, resell. Do I get collectors that complain about shipping costs? The only ones that complain about shipping costs are Canadians, or, you know, not so much even English. Even when I send them overseas, I very rarely have a complaint. The biggest one is from Canada, that they're mad because I won't put it in a correspondence envelope. You know, because no one wants to pay the import fees, the VAT. It's called VAT. I got a package returned today from somebody who didn't say anything to me. They just didn't accept it when they realized, and I'm sure that's the case, because somebody wrote refused on it, because they had to pay an import fee. I don't declare less than the item is worth, because that's all information that's tracked. So, you know, let me just throw this out here, too, and I know it's been a bad day for some folks here. I know the bomb threats and all that stuff. But I learned something very interesting from all that information. Now, we lived in D.C., for those of you who don't know. I was there for 9/11. We were there with all that. We actually were stuck in traffic in front of the Pentagon when a bomb, what they thought was a bomb, was found. And we were very close to where this box was, you can see in the road. And we were stuck there for like 6 hours. So, you know, I have a first hand on what they do to do this. But with the bombs that were sent out in the mail recently, and again, I'm not condoning anything of violence in any way, shape, or form, because I'm pretty much a pacifist. But Um, with that, the post office announced that they take a picture of every single package that goes through the postal system. They have complete actual photographic records of every package shipped in this country. That is how they track the delivery confirmation, from what I understand. I dug into this because I was really interested when I found that out, that they did that, because I had no idea. So anything you do, if you're voiding, sending stuff in correspondence, sending stuff overseas and not declaring the correct value, they have perfect contact with the information to prove that you did that. So this day and age, I would never do that. We've gotten a couple notices from eBay that said that we undercharged in a couple of times, or not undercharged, that we undercharged, and they gave us credit back from the post office. And I was wondering, how would they even catch that with this random system? But it's all photographed. Every package that you send out is photographed, whether it be for evidence or whatever the case may be. The government tracks every single package with a visual photo of it, which is shocking to me that they have that ability to pull these all up as well. I mean, again, that's probably why the tracking's on there. They know instantly where this thing has been for its entire life. They can pull up camera footage that would match it and the whole works, which is interesting. But, I just wanted to throw that out there. I know that's a little off topic. If the Stephen Rose resell, if that person left you negative feedback, you can call eBay and they will remove it if he's saying you did excessive charges. As long as the charge was quoted in the listing the day you or he bought it, and you haven't changed the amount or the shipping, he can't leave feedback saying you overcharged him or your shipping was absorbent, because he knew it the day he bought the item. So, and I've had him removed once or twice from a Canadian who did that to me. So, if they rant on it, I've blocked them. If they're that type of person in the first place that are trying to get you, especially if it's overseas, to ship something without the correct import-export, I just block them. It's not worth my time to argue with somebody. I have my rules set for a reason. I have tracking and everything. We save a couple $1,000s every year by tracking everything, every single package. As a top-rated seller plus discount, we get 10% on final value fees. You sell a lot like we do, it adds up to a couple $1,000s on an account. So just FYI. And you do that with a ton of different things and save here and there. We save $5,000-$6,000 a year minimum in discounts and fees from what we do and how we do it. So, that's just how you play the numbers with that too. Just-in-time flipping, welcome. Here we go again. Give me a second here. YouTube just flipped way up on me. Hang on, let me see where we were at now. Yeah, Tarpon Springs is great. Honeymoon Island is very nice. You can swim with dolphins in Honeymoon Island if you didn't know. Let me see here. Yeah, smash the like button. I'm very bad on getting that out there. I apologize. I never say that too much. I got my usual dislike already, so that's fine. Let's see. Emolat Chance. I have an almost complete collection of German World War II stamps I collect unused, and another set of canceled. We've got quite a few military-related stamps as well, too. I have no glory for any side or whatsoever, so not taking any stance on that, but we do collect things, and it is a collectible, so I don't see anything wrong with it as long as you're not promoting any hate or anything like that. If it says a historical item, there's really no problem with, collecting anything, I guess, to the most extent. Postmarks of key cities and towns and all. So important dates like June 6th. Yeah, D-Day can mean something too. Sometimes you'll see notes written on some letters from the D-Day area. Duncan VR sold a penny red stamp with MX on cover and Stawbridge postmark for £40. Queen Victoria GB stamps are heavily collected. Yeah, I've got a huge assortment of Great Britain stamps and the colonies as well too. I love the early Queen Victoria heads on them. So I've got all kinds of varieties. I love the Hong Kong set as well too. So I try to buy a lot of Hong Kong items. I showed in a haul just the other day some Hong Kong items. I showed a Hong Kong menu from 1901. Just an FYI, I'm going to put that in my haul video on Sunday. That sold for $275 within like 4 hours. And then I showed a Hong Kong 1901 hotel, Hong Kong hotel receipt. I sold that the same day to somebody else for $250 straight off. No questions asked on the price. Maybe I had them a little too low, but you know, I've got $1 or $2 in those pieces of paper. The one had a postage stamp of Queen Victoria with the Hong Kong, Hong Kong postage stamp. So just FYI, those sell incredibly well. I guess that would maybe be like 200 pounds, British sterling or something. Yeah, that would probably be a pretty good one, a French town on D-Day. The Comfortable Life, howdy, how you doing? Karabakh, off topic, what's your favorite beer? In all honesty, Carl, I'm not a beer drinker. I used to be very bad at it when I was a teenager and wasn't technically legal to drink. So I don't drink much these days other than wine or tequila, vodka, and gin. Those are my drinks. I drink those as well as a wine. I love, what is it we drink? We drink Barefoot, Moscata. We drink pink Moscata, red Moscata, regular Moscata, and the wife loves the bubbly champagne Moscata, or whatever you would want to call it. Their bubbly version. It's not really champagne, but that's what we drink. You always catch me at the glass of wine if it's a end of day and I don't have much to worry about. So anyway, or margarita. Again, I'm not a big beer drinker anymore. I used to be very bad at it, so I just stay away. Nothing wrong with anybody drinking beer. I still collect it. I still enjoy looking at the cans and the collectibles, the vintage signs, and all that kind of stuff. I like finding it. I like selling it. Nothing against it at all. So just not my tea anymore. I guess I've aged like the items I drink. I like a Tom Collins, and you it's hard pressed to even find somebody who knows how to make a real good Tom Collins. Bombay Sapphire is what we use in that, and in some of the drinks we have too. If you know what that is, it's in a blue bottle. That's what we drink. Top shelf if we're going to do it, or a Grand Marnier margarita. So, like a perfect margarita, maybe like an Applebee's style or Chi-Chi's or whatever the heck you'd want to call it. But that's what we drink, just FYI. John Jones. Manions, I don't keep up on that. There are, like Heritage does some specific auctions for militaria. There's a military network. Shoot. I go to a couple of military shows here. There's a gun show at our local rec center in Maumee, Ohio, every so often. And there's another one at I think it's a UAW hall in Perrysburg, Ohio. Those I go to. I know all the guys that do it. I can probably get you a company name. I wish I could remember the site, but they just do auctions of militaria. It might be somebody who used to work at Manion's or something like that. Geez, I'll have to think about that. I know some people who do it bigwig too, big-wise, and they do some up north auctions too. Depends on the type of items you have, I guess. I'll try to do a shout out to that maybe in another video here. In fact, let me write that down. I'll put it on my list and we'll see about pulling up something for that. But there are a couple sites for those. Let's see here. Costa Balzaglo. Balt Zaglu. I'm sure I butchered your name. I'm so sorry. Any advice for trying to get estate sales to allow you to make early offers, purchase on lots of stuff? Don't ask them because they'll give you a hard time. You just got to know somebody. Costa, I would pretty much promise you if it's a big town, you're just trying now, everybody's already got those locked in for the most part. I get into one, but I can't purchase early. I can only look at the items, and I've gotten into a couple in the past, but it's very, very slim pickings. It's hard to get into these places. Usually they're old-timers running the estate sales. They've already got people who've picked them before they even set it up or got anything done, or they've picked it. Some of the estate sales around here will sell the higher end items that they know they can flip for the estate owner on eBay or on another auction site, and then they'll do the estate sale at the house after the better stuff has already been pulled out. So just keep that in mind. I don't know how to give you recommendations on that. You're just going to have to get on these lists. Part of the reason I got into one of them was because they had nobody who knew like the military buttons. They had nobody that knew some of the postcards and stuff like that, or the paper items. I always bought majority of what they had when I showed up. So they eventually just asked if I'd come out and, give an estimate on price, and, they might let me in early and stuff like that. So that's the best bonus I've gotten out of it. That's a hard game to get into. Around here, it's old timers that know everybody. Either that or they'll sit outside, and it's a husband and wife team that sits outside, and they'll wait all night long if they have to be the first ones in that door. I mean, they're retired, both of them. That's the thing that we fight around here. That's why I learned to find items that aren't going to be necessary to be purchased on the first day. It's just, I hate the rat race. I lived in D.C. and, the traffic and, Orlando traffic can be bad on I-4 and, so I hate traffic. I do everything I can to avoid stuff, that's just packed in there these days. It's just me. Nothing wrong with anybody doing that, but I wish I could give you better advice on that. Stephen Rose Resell, if he gives you a hard time, just tell him that you're required to keep track on everything, and tracking to actually keep earn your top rated seller plus if you don't have it now. If you have it now, that's all you got to say, that eBay says you need to have it to keep your status. That's literally my answer to everybody when they say it, because that's literally what I want. If I drop below a certain amount on tracking, even a couple, I could actually lose my top rated plus seller or seller status, and I lose my discount. So if they have a problem with you following the rules, just tell them that's the way the rules state, that you have to have tracking. Tracking is not available on a correspondence letter, and technically the letter rate is for correspondence only, not for merchandise. If you're giving them a photo or something, that's a different story. But if there's merchandise in it, technically, from my understanding from many years of doing this, that is not what you can put in there, or not what you're supposed to put in there. They don't inspect them. They don't go after people for doing that. But it's called correspondence rate, the standard first class, because it's made for correspondence. Letters, corresponding with somebody. Not corresponding is not sending merchandise. So, that's the gist I take on it. If he leaves you negative feedback, you followed the rules, you quoted what goes on. I have a little strip in there that says that I wrap with thick cardboard, and that the item will weigh basically 3 ounces for any of the paper items as well too. The shipping rate was also quoted in the listing as well too, and as long as you show that the tracking's on there, he can check with the post office, and they're going to tell him it costs $3.50 to send the postcard with the tracking the way he got it. So he can't argue the fact that you did anything wrong or raise the price on him, as long as, as I said, the price was the same that you had on it the minute he bought it as the minute that he got it. I mean, as long as you haven't changed anything, you got nothing to worry about. He can't leave feedback saying you overcharged him for shipping for sure, because you didn't change the price. It was the price quoted. The only way eBay is going to allow that is if you change the price from the day he bought it to the day you actually mailed it out. That's the only way. Hopefully that helps a little bit there. Informed delivery. Yeah, I haven't messed with that. I just get the online. I don't mess with any of the extra ones, extra time-consuming issues. Yeah, block them and don't worry about them. Sometimes, though, on the block, Stephen, I wait a little while on it, because take a chance, because sometimes if he hasn't left you feedback, he can say, hey, you blocked me, I'm going to leave you negative feedback for that. So just FYI, it's a toss of a coin whether you want to take the chance or not. I personally don't worry about it anymore. If I get one ding on a negative, I'm still going to be at 100% because of how much I have up, because it's still less than enough to budge my numbers anyway. Seller Mama, thank you. Tony, welcome. How you doing? No, I don't pay much attention to their transfer money. I know that was an option offered or something at some point. I haven't looked into it at all. I think they might still be trying to save themselves to be still used on eBay's platform, is my personal opinion. I think eBay would probably still keep PayPal not as the main processor, but they would still allow PayPal to process for certain people. They might charge you more for doing it, and that might be some way eBay can get more money out of you. But I would be shocked if they totally cut PayPal off, at least within the next 5 years. I can't see them doing it immediately. I mean, it's just such a big change. Any suggestions? I'm sorry, let me go back to Seller Mama here. Any suggestions on pricing old fine china such as plates and teacups? You're just going to have to look up comps on those. I don't mess with pottery too much anymore. It sits for a long time. It's longer. It's long tail than most items that we have. And I'm not as careful with some of the items because most of the items I sell aren't breakable, or we store them differently. I don't have a fair or practical way to store china other than on a shelf stacked up. So I hate the space it takes up. So there might be somebody else there who can shoot you some ways, but comps on eBay is what I do for pretty much any of that. If you sell a lot of it, maybe it would be worth something to get a Worth Point membership. I don't mess with Worth Point because most of what I sell, I'm pretty good on pricing, and I've sold enough over the years to have a real good idea on most everything. With vintage paper, there's only so many of each item, and I run into the same postcards even, on occasions across the board. So I can price that, but again, you might need to get a secondary pricing source for China per se, because I don't know other than on what on eBay would be. Just like clothing, I'm not up on clothing anymore at all. I just know a few of the jackets that I buy, because I'll still buy a jacket if it fits me. That way, if I don't like it after I buy it, I can just turn around and resell it. But anyway. Big Joe, the video game collector, welcome. Welcome back. Ed Gein, I don't blame people for complaining if a seller charges $14 for shipping. I don't know of any flat rate envelope that you can do overseas. The $14 rate is for international shipping to England. Canada is $10, but at $14, there is no flat rate shipping overseas. It's $14 for first class international, which is the cheapest form of overseas shipping that I am aware of anywhere, and you were stuck with the $14. You have to have an import-export ticket on there. If you can't put a ticket on there, that mail cannot be used for merchandise to send overseas. So $14 is the cheapest rate to, say, England, or $10 is the cheapest rate to Canada. So if they're going to complain about the cheapest legal means, that is their fault, because they want you to violate a law, which I will not do. I don't care if I lose the sale. I am not going to violate a law. I hear it all the time. Just throw it in an envelope. No one's going to know. Well, I know, and if something happens, I'm the one liable, not the buyer. So, especially now with knowing that they have a photo of every envelope, they can prove what you're sending out. It's all tied in with eBay. If you violate the rules and at some point they want to go after you and just charge fines, they can go back and do that. Just keep that in mind. Let me see here. What is so special about Hong Kong? Hong Kong in general, type in Hong Kong and RPPC, and you will see what they go for. Anything China sells extremely well. Anything pre-1920s paper China sells extremely well. Chinese stamps sell extremely well. Chinese postcards, town scenes, just random photos from China sell very, very well. It's a hot topic. There's now money in China where people their business is growing, economy is growing. They have extra money to spend, and these items are not available for the most part in China. So they were tourist items. There were things sent out of the country. So, most of the Chinese couldn't afford to go to some of these. A British person would go to Hong Kong or live there for a while and then bring these items back, and now they show up on the market. Hong Kong is hot. It's like as hot as Tahoe or something right now. So just FYI. Yeah, military can be a touchy subject, but I don't promote any preferences on it. It's just a historical aspect. I like historical items. I don't care. Like if you're collecting, let's say, German items for World War II, it doesn't mean you are a Nazi, because the majority of the people who wore those uniforms were pretty much had to serve in the service. If you are in this country and you are drafted, you have to serve in the service. You have no way around it. So a lot of the people who were in combat, other than the high-ranking officers, were pawns in, this awful thing that happened. So I don't hold that against the collectibles. I don't sell anything racially motivated. I do not sell any hate group items at all either. I do not consider World War II vintage items to be necessarily related to a hate group. It was a country that went haywire. But anyway, not enough on that subject. But anyway, I don't see anything wrong with somebody selling it. People can see something wrong with selling a pair of leather shoes or a leather jacket because a cow was killed to do it. So there's so many areas. I know people who are upset about people selling sneakers, or selling this or selling that, so, or I can understand ivory, not selling ivory. I have an affiliation for wildlife and stuff. So for me, I don't mess with that either. So anyway. How do I get my money from PayPal? I just do a transfer every so often. I let it sit there sometimes. I've never had them lock me out or anything. I don't have any influx of funds. We get so much money in there, and I just do a random transfer to a bank account. That's all I do. I don't have any auto transfers or anything else like that. PayPal is kind of like a holding account for most people who do a lot of business, because you might have money coming in from 5 or 6 internet sources into PayPal, and because that's a major collecting point for most of these sites we use. And then from there, it's transferred to a bank account or one of our bank accounts or something along that line. Depends on where we're putting money. We've got a bank account for obviously labor. Let's see, accounts payable, accounts receivable. We have an account for that. Things like that. So, you have to have separate accounts to be able to track it all properly. But anyway, welcome, George Mann. Hang on here. We've just... I do global shipping program. I think people that don't do it are missing out. I would definitely say that for sure. From my own personal experience, it has boosted our sales. If you want to look at my account, you can see that we are top rated plus seller across the entire globe in every single market that eBay judges and grades you on. So I wouldn't have been able to do that without top rated seller plus, because we're 100% feedback on those programs in countries I don't ship to. Because obviously, I don't ship to a lot of countries. There's only 7 or so I ship to. And to be top-rated seller plus, all that stuff that's been fed through the global shipping program. So that's a good chunk. In some months, it might be 10% of our sales are overseas sales. And if you're doing, that could be, $2,000 in 1 month. It could be even more than that in a real good month. So, that's a lot of money to be left on the table. If you're doing $10,000 and you can increase your sales by an extra 1,000, another 10%, that's pretty good just by clicking a button. Once it hits the U.S. center, the eBay shipping center, you're free and clear of any delivery-related issues. And I had one happen where it got lost overseas, and sure enough, eBay immediately took care of it. So, I can't complain on the global shipping program at all. Back in the day, it was worse than it is now, but nowadays with the coverage for the seller, it's fine. I haven't had any issues with global shipping. Hang on here, we're bouncing around again. How do the pickers make money if they are selling to you for $2, $3 a piece? I don't get it. Saigon 111. If somebody's at a garage sale and they buy a box of stuff for $5 and then there's 100 items in that box and they sell it to me for $1 a piece, they're making $90 off that box. That's just the way it works. They buy something for a box of records for, say, $50 at a sale. I'm now buying out of a 200 or 300 count box of records, $1 a piece. They're going to make a couple $100 off that sale. Do they know how to look up records? No, but they have people that buy them and they see them cheap. They're just like me. I mean, I would have been a picker as well, but I know how to sell it. So for me, that's not an issue. And also, I don't pay $1 or $2 for everything. Today I spent $135 on one lot of things that I'm going to show in Tuesday's video. I bought some stacks of paper, including photographs, for $25. I bought a stack of stereo views for $20. You just try to bulk it together, and at the end of the day, get a big lump sum. One item I may have spent $20 or $30 on, and the rest of them I may have spent nothing on. When I get my figures, it's an average. If I buy 100 items, I spent $200 for those 100 items from the one picker. That equates to $2 an item. Yeah, I may have spent more for one or the other, but it's a bulk purchase, so I bulk it out and price it that way across the board. So everything isn't $1 or $2 for the most part. I don't buy things that are over that because I just don't want to spend the money either. Most of what I buy are end of the auction table cleanups from these people. So keep that in mind as well too. But you've got to stay to the end of the sale to get those. My guys go to garage sales. They go to flea markets where people bring stuff in for them. So, if you've known enough people, like a dollar, you say, how you get $1 a piece. You can go to a thrift store and buy those same items for $1 a piece as well. Savers sells records for $1.45 or 50 cents. Goodwill sells them for $1 or 50 cents as well too. So those prices are nothing different. The postcards are $1 even at the thrift stores or at an estate sale. Even at the antique malls, a postcard is $1. That is no different than me paying $1 from the picker. So that's the prices you pay for this stuff. If you pay more, that's up on you. I can't control what everybody else does with it, but that's how it works for us. If the item's too expensive, I just don't buy it. I've got so many options to buy. If I pass up a couple hundred items, I don't really care. I've got a ton of merchandise, more than I could sell. I could probably sit here for maybe a year and not have to buy anything new if I really wanted to. So hopefully that makes a little sense. Happy Thursday, Jennifer. Let me see. Okay, my Friday lunch ordered ham and pizza. Hang on just a second here. It's popping all over. Let me see where I'm at just a second here. Domestic priority flat rate. I don't use priority, so I wouldn't even have a $7 cost. If it's something small, it's going first class, which is $3.50 for 3 ounces. So, I don't charge $14 for anything like that. So I don't know, what your figures are on based on. I don't ship that way, so I don't think I've ever charged 14 unless it weighed a ton of money and that was the rate. So I don't have those issues. I use first class. I don't mess with, pirate ship, Mark Corbett. I don't mess with any of the outside. They all go straight through eBay. I don't mess with anything else. Simple, quick, easy. Same thing I've used for, a decade plus. South London resale. Yeah, anything China in general. How do I deal with lowball offers? I just counter back with something that I would want to take, and if they decline it or come back with a lower offer, I decline it, and then I move on. If they keep putting lowball offers in, you can always just block them. It's not going to hurt anything on your behalf. We're about going to have to cut it off here. I do apologize. Can you throw up the Patreon real quick? I just want to do a couple call-outs. We had a couple more Patreon sign-ups this week, so I'm almost to our first goal. I think 1 or 2 more Patreons, and we will be up to our first goal. I meant to do this a little while ago. I hate to do it at the last minute here. Ian's got to go here in just a second, so we will get him out of here, and we're going to have to end it here in just a minute here. I know I didn't get to all of the questions here, but we had It's Me Wanda just signed up. We got Jerry Spinagle signed up. Bruno Palamini. I'm sure I'm bad on names again. I do thank you for signing up and joining my Patreon page as well. For those of you who aren't familiar, can you roll over to the Patreon logo too? I'll shout those out to you here real quick. Again, I do have another live feed on Tuesday as well. So Tuesday I will have a live pick, a haul video for you. So you get to see a little bit too. I'll probably have some time for a few questions too. I will be giving away original piece of artwork on that day. But as you see here, here's my Patreon, patreon.com, The Auction Professor. Again, my Facebook group, The Auction Professor. And again, we are The Auction Professor here on YouTube. I do want to thank everybody for being on. I do apologize if I didn't get to your question. I do see there's still several pages that I did not answer. But again, Tuesday there will be another live show. It's a Halloween special, Halloween haul on Tuesday. Again, I am in full makeup, full costume. You will see me decked out. My usual live Thursday show will still happen. So again, no difference in the live show. This is just going to be an extra one. I'm giving away a $100 piece of original artwork on Tuesday to a random person. I'll give everybody a chance. I'm going to wait till the most people are on and we'll give it away from there. But I'm going to call it quits for tonight. I thank everybody for coming on. If Ian, you want to roll the credits for me, we will get you out of here. Thanks everybody for being on. I appreciate it. Again, we're going back to a bolo tomorrow. It's going to be something interesting, so hopefully you enjoy it. Have a good evening, everyone.